About 3.5 years ago, when I first got here, one of the first things that happened was I was interviewed by some of these guys. I met with the Fountain Club on a Sunday afternoon, and they sat in a circle and said, "Okay, we're going to ask you some questions." They had been through a string of folks in the learning ministries and had gotten used to learning more about who were these people coming in to serve them, how long were they going to be around. So this Sunday the tables are turned for four people three who were there then, who sat around that circle 3.5 years ago and interviewed me. Now 3 of the graduating seniors are going to be interviewed, as it were, are going to share their thoughts, their reflections on what it has meant to be here at this church, what it means to be alive, to be a religious liberal, generally to reflect on the text of their life and see where there they find value. And so first, I invite Zack Harris.
Good morning. My name is Zack Harris, and I'd like to start off by saying Happy Mother's Day to everybody. I have to say this because without my mom, I couldn't tell you where I might be. I started off being young, and every Sunday morning she'd wake me up and tell me it was time to go to church. And was I stubborn or resistant? Yeah. But this is why I'd like to thank her. She opened a door for some of my life that I never thought I'd be able to see. And also another big factor that influenced my life was my sister Lacey. Growing up and seeing how close she got to be with her friends through Fountain Club, it hit a part inside me. And she's traveled all over the country visiting them since the day they all graduated, and I hope I can do the same for those who I've met over the past couple of years. Now, as I look back, Fountain Club was far one of the best parts of my life. I'll be honest, there have been some rough points in my high school experience, but no matter what, Fountain Club was always an outlet for me to express myself and pick me up when I wasn't feeling down. Fountain Street has brought me to each coast in the country in journeys I'll never forget. In 8th grade, we went to a trip to DC. 10th grade, we went to New Orleans. And my most recent trip, Arizona. Every one of those trips has changed my life forever. Whether it was teaching me life lessons, opening my eyes to experiences I'd never thought I'd see, or creating memories I'll never forget. When we explored the city of New Orleans years after such a disaster, it opened my eyes to how deep the pain was felt in that city, but also how a simple effort can be the most important decision of one's life. To see the joy on their faces after we help them and rebuild their homes and just be there for them, that's one memory I'll never forget. As for this year, I could have been more excited to travel to the West Coast. However, I never knew the train ride would be so much fun. And I'll be honest to say that I didn't really know the Fountain Clubbers as well as some of them that I have. But let me tell you, after a week being together on a road trip across the country, I sure got the opportunity to know them. The memories I share from that trip will never be forgotten. Whether it was losing my breath to the first sight of the Grand Canyon, helping out at the animal shelters, the food shelters, or learning the history of the Hopi culture, or even exploring Zion. But best of all, sitting outside on our last night on the sidewalk, just looking up at the stars that decorated the night sky, being alongside my best friends who contributed to something that will change my life forever. I'd like the chance to thank all of those who contributed to our fundraisers, allowing us to go on these trips, the adult leaders, Matthew for putting a lot of this together, and most of all of you Fountain Clubbers, because it's something that will always change my life and it'll never be forgotten. Thank you for the journeys that I'll never forget, and thank you, Mom, for kicking me out of my bed in the morning, every Sunday morning, to make sure I'd get to a place I'll never forget, Fountain Street Church.
Hey, Fountain Street, how you doing? My name's Elijah Miller, and happy Mother's Day. In planning for today, I was I was mulling over several options. I was thinking, I play bass and I play didgeridoo and stuff, and I was thinking, I was maybe going to write a song or maybe a poem for how Fountain Street has affected my life. And, just somehow thank, all of you guys for being there for me and being my family. But then I realized that it was Mother's Day today, so I decided to change my plans. I had to come up with something that gave due credit to my mom as well as to Fountain Club. And then I realized, while I was writing this speech before church today, that if it weren't for my mom, I wouldn't be here at all. My mom fell in love with this church, and she nagged me to come to this church until I loved it too. I didn't want to go to Tower Club when I was in middle school, but my mom, was on me about it. She said, no, you'll like it, it'll be worth it. And so I gave up and I listened to her, and I went to Washington, D.C., and it was amazing. And I met a good bunch of the friends I have today. And since I went to Tower Club, I went to Fountain Club. And I went to New Orleans. And most recently, I went to the Grand Canyon in Flagstaff. And it is a wonderful thing. And, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't appreciate religion as much as I do, and I wouldn't be the same person I was if it weren't for my mom and bringing me here in the first place. So, to Mom, thanks for bringing me here. It's pretty neat.